These days, almost every homeowner buying new HVAC equipment expects it will be more energy efficient than their old equipment. The imagine we install the wrong unit story, which we just explained in detail, is a great way to break it to them that getting the high efficiency they're paying for is not a sure thing. Here's the basic analogy one more time. You know, Bob and Betty, buying a new high efficiency heating and air system without fixing the old leaky ducts, it's kind of like buying high efficiency equipment, but the contractor installs low efficiency equipment when the workers come out to the home. No one would be okay with buying a new 16 SEER and only getting a 12 installed. Suffice it to say, people hate the idea they'll get shortchanged and not get the efficiency level and greatest possible utility bill savings they'll be paying for. The fear of loss is a powerful emotional motivator to get their ducts sealed along with their new equipment. Today, we'll take a close look at how to provide your clients with the logical justification for their emotional buying decision and to help them avoid that loss that would happen if they didn't seal their ducts. It's a tool I created called the Duct Leakage SEER AFUE Degrade chart, or the SEER Degrade chart for short. It approximates the impact of duct leakage on equipment efficiency and provides powerful visual supporting evidence for the wrong unit story. Many dealers have told us this chart is the single most powerful piece of supporting evidence they have to help sell AeroSeal. Today we'll role play how to explain the chart at the kitchen table during a replacement equipment sales call. And I'll say a few words on how service technicians, duct cleaners, and even solar salespeople can adapt it to encourage people who aren't in the market for new equipment to buy AeroSeal to restore the efficiency they've been missing. All that when we get back. There's two versions of the SEER Degrade table available. In this lesson, I'll be explaining it using the original, generic, non-branded version I'd created. Another version has been incorporated into an AeroSeal branded third-party document. Both are available as PDF file downloads in this lesson. Our last lesson was the two-part imagine we installed the wrong unit story. In part one, I role-played a suggested way to deliver that story, getting the basic point across and creating some emotional reaction. Near the end of the role-play, I transitioned into the stage where we provide some logical proof to back up the emotion-creating story by saying, here, let's take a look together at some of the consumer protection information Energy Star and the Department of Energy and the electrical utilities put out there to help homeowners like yourselves make an informed decision. So that's where we'll pick it up today. The main supporting document I use at this point is the two-page PDF called SEER Degrade plus DL Equipment Quotes. DL meaning duct leakage. And you can find that in the download section of this lesson. Although you certainly can show the PDF on a tablet or laptop screen, I prefer to always have a back-to-back printed laminated card like this. I find it much easier to engage the homeowner with a card at the kitchen table than with an electronic device. I start by showing them this side with the headline, Authorities Say Ducts Must Be Upgraded for Modern High-Efficiency HVAC Equipment to Achieve Its Full Potential. A bit of a mouthful, I know, but that is the fundamental message we're trying to get across. I don't actually read that headline to them. It's there for those who are quick scanners or if it is used as a leave behind. I start by pointing to the left-hand column here, and I just read them, the first paragraphs, with my finger moving under the words. Here's what Energy Star says. No matter how energy efficient your equipment is, it will not perform at its best if the ducts are leaky. In a typical house, about 20 to 30% of the air that moves through the duct system is lost due to leaks, holes, and poorly connected ducts. Homeowners may think they're buying a high-efficiency Energy Star 14 SEER system, and in fact, the operating efficiency may be closer to a 10. Then I flip the card to show the chart and continue with, now this chart summarizes the research on what the typical impact is, depending on different levels of duct leakage. For example, these days a 16 or 17 SEER rated air conditioner is a very popular choice. But as you can see here, with a middle-of-the-road typical 20% duct leakage, a machine that's rated at 16 SEER in the laboratory will likely only perform like an 11 SEER in the real world. Pretty shocking, right? Most people agree. Then move up the page to the Advanced Energy quote. John and Mary, this fundamental challenge has also been confirmed by utility company engineers all over the country. Here's a quote from Advanced Energy, a nonprofit utility research group in North Carolina. They say, when a manufacturer sends equipment to a laboratory to establish its SEER rating, you can bet the equipment is set to perform its best under the test conditions. But real conditions in a home, not controlled lab conditions, determine how equipment will perform. Does that all make sense so far? Now, you always need to respond appropriately. I find most people just nod their heads and say, yeah, it all makes sense. So I then continue by flipping the card back over and pointing to the upper right-hand quote. And here's what Pacific Gas and Electric, a big utility on the West Coast, stated in a research report. It does not make sense to install a new energy-efficient heating and/or air conditioning unit unless the duct system is also energy efficient. Then I return to the Energy Star column of quotes on the left-hand side. So this is why Energy Star advises all homeowners, since as much as 30% of the efficiency of your system is a result of ductwork, overlooking duct improvements may compromise comfort and cost you money. The bottom line, they recommend to all homeowners like yourselves buying new equipment, be sure to get what you pay for by complementing your efficient equipment purchase with properly sealed ducts. And you know, the sad thing, John and Mary, is that many, probably most homeowners, are never informed about this important information. Manufacturers don't tell them, most contractors don't tell them, they just don't know better. And so they get their contractor to hook up a brand new high efficiency equipment to their old low efficiency ducts. And then they're surprised when they don't get the performance and utility bill savings they paid for. Heck, you know, for a long time, even our company wasn't up to speed on all the latest government research on how bad duct leakage really is. Now that we know, we'd never go back to the old way of doing things. So let me ask you this, John and Mary. Does it make any sense at all to invest in high efficiency equipment and only get low efficiency performance out of it and not get all the utility bill savings you expected? They usually say, no, that would not make sense. We're almost there. Enough doom and gloom. Now it's time to give them the good news. So I flip back to the chart to show what the performance is if the ducts get sealed. So the bad news is the typical new equipment underperforms by 20 to 30% when connected to leaky ducts. The good news is it doesn't have to happen. Most of our clients now have us seal their ducts when we install their new equipment, so they can restore that lost efficiency. Now, while we can't totally eliminate the leakage, we can usually get it from over 20 or 30% leakage down to less than 2%. And as you see here, that means the laboratory rated 16 SEER, that actually will perform at almost 16 SEER in the real world. Sealing the ducts means whichever level of equipment you end up choosing, you'll get the most heating and cooling possible out of it and out of every dollar you spend. And with maximum possible savings, you'll have the most money left to spend on what you really enjoy in life instead of overpaying the power company. Plus, and for many people this is even more important, with sealed ducts your new system will work even better than your old one, it'll last longer, it'll keep up better on super hot days, and you'll have more even temperatures and much cleaner, healthier air. Can you see now why really tackling duct leakage is a standard part of our company's installation best practices? Wait for an acknowledgement. Assuming you find it affordable, is getting your leaky ductwork properly sealed something you'd like to have done when you have a contractor install your new system? Wait for an acknowledgement. Most will say sure, depending on what it costs. And some don't qualify it. They just say if we're going to do it at all, we might as well do it right. Then you say, would you like to know what people have us do to get rid of that duct leakage? The typical prospective client says yes to this micro permission request to present your solutions. And then you proceed to briefly explain AeroSeal and any other recommended duct repairs you're proposing, like enlarging return air or adding another supply to a problem room and so on, as we'll cover in the next section. Once you get a confirmation that they understand the recommended duct repairs, you move on to presenting equipment packages, which all include them. Let's now take a short review and discussion break. Okay, so before the break, I shared how you might explain the chart. Note that in the previous role play, we wrapped it up with a series of small trial closes, micro commitments confirming that they were seeing value. Those little pulse checks keep building the momentum towards the big commitment, the big yes to buy. Plus, social proof statements were sprinkled in throughout. Most people are inclined to follow the herd. Remember, preventing the "it's too expensive" objection is a much better strategy than trying to overcome it after presenting the investment. For our role play, I focused on just the AC side to keep it simple. When the client's also buying a furnace, you'd say a few words about that too, like how a 95% furnace would only work like a 76. As always, with these suggested talk tracks, you need to stay on your toes and adjust to fit the circumstances. And you may also want to refer back to the Energy Information Administration chart that we had to calculate the cold to look at the low and high end savings factors, because the same general variables that affect savings also are going to affect more precisely what the impact is on air conditioner or heating efficiency. Now, you also have to modify this basic story, of course, if the client is not currently buying a new HVAC system. Say you're running service or duct cleaning or a solar estimate. Just adjust it to explain instead that their system hasn't been performing at the level it's capable of, and that if they seal their ducts, you'll restore the efficiency they've been missing. Sometimes I find the customer is still a bit hesitant about accepting the facts, or still kind of resists the need for sealing. Probably the most common sign of this is they question it by saying, "Our old unit seemed to work okay and the ducts leaked then. Why is this a problem now?" Now, there are reasons why high efficiency equipment is actually often more affected by duct leakage than the older stuff, but you can just handle it by answering with something like this. That's an excellent question. You're absolutely right, John. Your ducts have leaked pretty much since the house was built. The building codes back then simply didn't require sealed ducts like they do now. Here's the thing, your old AC unit is about 15 years old, so I estimate it was probably rated at about a 10 SEER unit at the time. Let's look here on this chart. Assuming 20% leakage, that 10 SEER's probably actually been working like only a 7 all these years. As we looked at earlier, that means you've overpaid the utility companies by about $2,000 over the last 10 years. So it's up to you. A new 16 SEER on an unsealed ducts will work like an 11. If you choose to not get your ducts sealed, you'll be going from a 7 up to about an 11. It's still more efficient. It will still save you some money. It would be a more efficient way to be inefficient, though. The thing is, most people, when they pay for high efficiency, they want to get the promised high efficiency performance out of it and to be more comfortable and have cleaner air. Does that make sense? Wait for an acknowledgement. I've often seen like a light bulb come on when they realized their old unit was being similarly affected. The impact of duct leakage is not restricted to new equipment. So you can move on to explaining AeroSeal. But if they're still skeptical, you might want to say, of course, you don't have to get your ducts sealed. It's completely up to you. It's your house, your wallet. You'll be the one making the initial investment and then paying the ongoing utility bills. See, it's my role and my responsibility to share this information with you, to explain what our standard best practices are, and why we do things the way we do. It's your job to then make an informed decision that's right for your family. How about this? May I ask that you keep an open mind on this until I complete my sizing calculations and work up some equipment options for you? Then we can look at all the facts and you decide what's best for you. Does that sound fair? So I trust there's some elements in these suggested talk tracks that will help you use the SEER Degrade chart effectively in the home. Use it along with the wrong unit story and the cost of leaky duct calculations, and you'll leverage powerful emotional logic that helps your clients happily buy AeroSeal. Repetition is the key to retention and learning, so be sure to listen to the audio track for this lesson and complete the Windshield University practice file as you drive around. And there's also a talk track handout to help you practice and role play the suggested wording. And it's a Word document, so it's editable if you want to change it and modify it to suit you. Thanks for being an AeroSeal dealer, and I'll see you on the next lesson.